What's up, everybody? My name is Big Cam and welcome back to another movie review. And today we are talking about the epic conclusion to Wicked from director Jon M. Chu, 2025's Wicked for Good. It was titled Wicked Part 2, but I think Wicked for Good is probably a better title, but it very much so is a Part 2. Both movies are supposed to be seen as one cohesive movie. And with that being the case, I said it a little bit in yesterday's podcast when I talked about the Rotten Tomatoes score for this film, which I'll bring up briefly here. The Rotten Tomatoes score, 69% critic score, 96% audience score. So it's not certified fresh by the critics, but 96% audiences love it, but not certified fresh. And I think the first movie is, and it was much more well reviewed. And I think the first movie, my only, like, if you go back and watch my movie review or even like my trailer reaction for Wicked for Good, my only gripes with the first movie was Glinda, I found way too annoying in like Ariana Grande's character. I just wasn't here for in the first movie, and all of the singing in the first movie felt like everything had this had this crazy high note for no reason in the middle and at the end of everything. And the only real high note that should be in the first movie is Defying Gravity. But the second movie, it felt like they listened to my critiques. It really did, because they didn't have any really of those high notes obnoxiously, and Ariana Grande's character was much less annoying, and maybe they like cut out some of her annoying stuff, because it did feel like it's only like 2 hours 18, the first one's damn near 3 hours, so you know, it did feel like maybe some stuff got cut out and they shortened this one down to be more of a 2-hour film, or it was like they were already 3 hours into the first movie and they go, let's stop it here, but say there was only really like 45 minutes to an hour left of the play for this part 2, and then they added some stuff to build out a second film rather than having a 4.5-hour one film. I don't know if that was a good choice or not, though, because the second part of the film in Wicked for Good was much sadder, you know, like, and even just right off the bat, like right from the beginning of the movie, it's like sad. You feel bad for the animals, you feel bad for Elphaba, you know, feel bad that like even Glinda's with those guys that are supposed to be the good guys, and the real good guys are the bad guys. They're treating the animals poorly. That really bugged me, you know, like, you know, I think they're supposed to bug it, it's supposed to bug you, and you're supposed to hate the other people that are doing this to the animals. But like, and I know most of the animals were fake and CGI and fictional creatures anyways, but it still pissed me off. You know, I was like, God damn, they're really mistreating these animals, and Michelle Yeoh is like really playing this asshole bitch of a character, and like, I really wanted bad things to happen to her. I was like, you know, I was so angry in the theater. And like, it was still really, really well done. But I think like the first one is just so much better than the second one. Especially because like I left the first one, and even like I didn't love the first one. I left the first one like, that was really good. And the music stuck in your head. And like, my first biggest takeaway from the first one was how great Cynthia Erivo was. Now the second one, Cynthia Erivo is still drop dead gorgeous. Still absolutely unbelievable. And like, Fierro in this, poor friggin', what's his name, Jonathan Bailey. Oh my goodness, Jonathan Bailey. He had, you know, one of the funniest parts in this movie to me, and it wasn't supposed to be funny, but like it just was to me. Like, he had eyeliner on, like for some reason, like she's green, and you know, of course, Ariana's like this perfect crystal white girl, and Jonathan Bailey has like this eyeliner on, but they didn't have it like all the way under. They just had like this on the eyelid, and then he had like lashes on it. I was like, he looks like fucking Fabio without the hair. And then later in the movie, he's still got the eyeliner, but now he's shirtless. Now he's got nothing on, but he's still got like fake lashes and eyeliner on. And I was like, listen, eyeliner on any man is gonna look weird because it's not something you see every day. But in this film where nobody else had this, it was, my mother was like, why do you think that's funny? You know, and I was just like, every time he was on screen, it made me laugh because it came real close to his face. You could just see like this black outline of his eyes. It's like, no, I have that from bags, from not being able to sleep. This guy had it like a black pencil lined by like on the top of his eyelid. I don't know why it bothered me. And my mother, oh my god, she laughed hard as fuck every single time in this movie they said the word clock tick. And if you know, you know, like, now you wait on just a clock tick. And that's how they would say it rather than say like, oh, you just wait here a minute. No, wait a minute. You know, like they go, now you just wait a clock tick. And every time they said clock tick, oh, one clock tick, you know, every time my mother was like, laughing her ass. I go, that was not that funny. No one in the theater laughed at the word clock tick. My mother every time thought it was funny. But like, you know, Fiyero is in this one point, and he's shirtless, and he's with, you know, Elphaba, and they're like kind of having their love moment, and he's like ripped, you know, sexiest man alive, Jonathan Bailey, but he's also like a gay man, so he's with this woman, and I'm like, I know he's not truly interested in her, and she's probably not with him, but they, you know, they're at least comfortable with each other as actors in the scene, so it still looks good. And I was like, god damn, he's so jacked. And then they punched in on his face, you saw the eyeliner, and he did a high note, and he was like, oh! And I was like, oh mom, it's Fabio. Like, I just couldn't contain myself. I couldn't take it serious. I was laughing so hard, and I was just like, god, it's not funny, but it was. It just couldn't help myself. But like, Ethan Slater, poor Bach. What happens to Bach in this is, oh, poor Nessa Rose. Oh, man. We needed more Bowen Yang. We definitely needed more Bowen Yang for sure. Coleman Domingo being the Cowardly Lion, underused, you know, and then like they brought in the Cowardly Lion, and then they brought in the Tin Man. They made, you know, I've already been talking spoilers, so if you don't want to hear spoilers, get the fuck out of here, but like, you know, spoilers, fucking Jonathan Bailey ends up being the Scarecrow, and like, what? And then like Dorothy's in there, but they only ever show the back of her, or like, you know, just quickly, and it's like, listen, we know you had somebody playing her, and I understand maybe you didn't want to show her for like respect of Judy Garland in the original film, and like you didn't want there to be another Dorothy because she's so iconic as Dorothy. That's dumb as fuck. That is so dumb as fuck. If you're doing Wicked and you're like, oh no, we can't do that because the old movie, it's from a fucking 100 years ago. You didn't show me Dorothy. Fuck you. Like, you had a Dorothy on set and you were too pussy to show the face. That's coward stuff right there. Cowardly Lion, coward stuff you didn't show. The fuck. Oh! And then the Cowardly Lion's fully CGI. I would have rather seen Coleman Domingo in the full Cowardly Lion suit, just like the original Wizard of Oz. You know, I think it just would have looked sick. The Tin Man looked phenomenal in this. The Scarecrow looked even worse. You know what I mean? So I was like, ah, God, you know, like, there was certain stuff in this that I was just like, oh my goodness. Like, why did the choices, you know, like, they made better choices in the first one. And then, like, the choice not to, like, you know, bring in the original Wizard of Oz stuff, the tornado, the Wicked Witch of the East, you know, like the ruby slippers. They brought in all that bullshit, and then we're like too pussy to show it. It's like, motherfucker, if you're gonna bring it in, bring it in. And if you're not, don't! You know, like, don't pussyfoot your way into it and be like, oh, look, doesn't it remind you of the original? And it's like, no, it doesn't remind me of the original. The original didn't have both these women singing and being friends. You know, like, if anything, these Wicked movies make you look at the Wizard of Oz so much more different. You're like, oh yeah, where did the Wicked Witch of the East come from? Why did Galinda just come down in the bubble? And you'd be like, take the shoes. You know, why is the Wicked Witch so mad? Maybe it was her sister. Maybe she stole those shoes. She doesn't want to kill Dorothy. She just wants her shoes back that she gave to her sister that just got killed from a house falling on her. You know, and why did the house fall on her? Because Madame Marvel's a piece of shit. You know, fuck you, Michelle Yeoh. You know, like, not Michelle Yeoh, but you get what I mean. Madame Marble, and fucking loser ass, bitch ass. You fucking, oh, I'm so mad at Madame Marvel. And then, like, Jeff Goldblum is the Wizard of Oz. So the cast is still phenomenal. But, like, if you're gonna do a part 2, do a part 2. And like maybe the biggest problem is that I think they filmed all at once. So like any of the things that people could have said after the first one, they're like, oh, we want this in the second one. They didn't necessarily have the chance to get the feedback, I don't think, because I think they filmed it all, and like he was kind of, you know, over the last year editing part 2, where like he could have been, you know, filming part 2 this year, editing over the next year, and then let it come out, you know, November of 26. I don't think that would have been that big a problem. A year, you know, 2 years, 2 Wicked movies. Well, so we got Wicked for Good in 2 years. It would have been, you know, a year in between. So you would have been 3 years total for the run of Wicked. I don't think that would have been that big a problem. You know, like, I don't know. This feels a little rushed. It feels a little, you know, a little less magical as the first one, where like the first one had magic. Like you felt it, you know, like sitting in the seat, you could feel the magic. But Jon M. Chu, you still did a phenomenal job. And the way that he left this open, you know, like he left it kind of open at the end. Oh, and the very, you know, very end, spoilers, if you're still here and you don't want to hear this, get the fuck out of here. But Elphaba at the end. Oh, the Wicked Witch got water. She melted. She died. Oh. In the original film, Margaret Hamilton, when she, I'm melting, and she melts down, I'm pretty sure they throw, you know, water on her, and then the smoke starts to come out, and she goes through a trap door in the floor, and that's how they did it practically in 1930 whatever, when Wizard of Oz came out. Where, you know, in this film, they throw the water on her, and then off camera, oh, Elphaba survived because she was in a trap door in this castle. And my mother like didn't realize it, but I was sitting there and I kind of popped for that reason. Like, oh, she survives the same way that Margaret Hamilton survived the water. You know, the same way they really did the effect in the first movie was how she survives in this movie. So I like that little detail. You know, probably isn't that big a detail, but maybe it is, you know. Jon M. Chu, let me know if I'm on to something there and I'm not just thinking that myself, putting connections where they're not. But like, I think that was done purposefully. And you know, then they go off into this other world. So like there's this whole other land of Oz through under the brick road where the animals were, but it just looks like kind of a desert, you know, and just like nothing around, just sand. And that's where Fiyero, this Scarecrow and Elphaba went off to. So, you know, maybe there's a third movie. The Wicked Witch returns, or Elphaba returns, or, you know, maybe it's about Galinda and Dorothy and the rest of the people. You know, maybe it's not about these two again. But I think if they're going to do it again, I think people would want to see Galinda and Elphaba back together. And I genuinely thought, you know, that it was going to end up with them together. I didn't think Fiyero as the Scarecrow and her were going to end up together. I thought, watching the whole movie, that Elphaba and Galinda were in love and they were lesbos. You know, like, and I'm still kind of standing on that. Like, I would rather see them kiss than fucking Fiyero and her kiss. Like, yeah. Like, I'm standing by that. But, you know, very good. I would love to hear your thoughts on this movie down below in the comment section. What was your score overall? Overall, for this one, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, where the first film I gave 4 out of 5 stars, you know, so a little bit less score, but, you know, out of a true 10 score, 3.5 to 5 stars, probably like a 7.4, 7.3. I don't know. Like, it was good, but I guess I am kind of around that 69% Rotten Tomatoes score. I wouldn't put a 6 in front of that number. You know, I'd be much creeping towards the 7.0 and up. You know, like, I wouldn't give it a 6.9 and down, but I'm probably about a 7.1, 7.2, 7.3. Probably. But, you know, better runtime for the second movie, so there's some pluses. But, yeah, quite sad. Quite a sad film. Quite a very good film. One of the best films of the year. But if you haven't, go and check out Frankenstein on Netflix. Very good. Way better than this. More emotional. More heartbreaking. Less of a musical. You know, so I don't know. That, for me, is one of the best films of the year so far. Frankenstein, that is. And this is also one of the best films of the year, but as far as like my top 4 on Letterboxd, it's not breaking that cut yet. So, It is what it is. But comment below your thoughts on Wicked for Good or Wicked, or, you know, the stage play, any of those in general. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Cynthia Erivo, you fucking crushed it again. I love you. You're absolute stud when it comes to performing and actressing in this movie. Fucking beast. Love to see it. I would love to see her back as Elphaba, but it really doesn't matter because whatever she decides to do next, I'm gonna be watching it. You know what I mean? Like, not necessarily on Ariana Grande. You know, if she comes out with an album or something, I'm probably not going to watch it. But, like, if Cynthia Erivo wants to do another movie, wants to be Storm in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, wants to come out with an album, do anything, I'm going to be there for Cynthia Erivo, I'll tell you what. Absolute legend. And she can whistle her fucking ass off. Little known fact. She's a great whistler. But comment below your thoughts on Wicked. You can send your score to me on my other social medias. Links for those down in the description below. And if you've made it this far in the video and you'd like to support the channel, the best way of doing that is liking this video, commenting down below, subscribing if you haven't already, and hitting that bell so you don't miss future movie reviews and you get the notifications when those come out. Once again, my name's Big Cam. Thank you guys so much for sticking around this far into the video, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace!